Hi everyone, I am going to explain some of the process changes that have been incorporated into our teacher evaluation process for this school year. The process changes are a result of conversations and feedback from teachers and evaluators since the end of last year. The reasons for the changes this year include improving quality of dialogue, increasing meaningful feedback, and providing a more holistic view of teachers' overall performance. In other words, the goal of the changes is to shift conversations to be about the teaching and learning in your classroom rather than about the rating, and saving the conversations for the rating to be occurring closer to the time of the summative. First, let's talk about the 2-year cycle. Traditionally, we have always talked about being on or off cycle. However, in our current system, we're always on cycle. We set goals every year, we have coaching plans every year, and we are informally observed on an ongoing basis. Therefore, we are now shifting our thinking to think about this concept of being on rating or off rating. In other words, the only difference in the 2 years is there's 1 year where you will receive a summative rating, and there's another year where you will not receive a summative rating. So we have a summative rating year and we have a non-summative rating year during the course of the 2-year cycle. So this is an ongoing 2-year cycle that begins right after your summative rating is delivered. As we think of the first step in the 2-year cycle, that of goal setting, we're reminded that goals are due this year on September 15th. Many of you have completed those or will be doing so in the very near future. You may remember that you used to complete a self-assessment at the beginning of the year as well. We will no longer have teachers complete that self-assessment unless they are new to the district. The thinking here is that since you had to informally self-assess or have a self-reflective conversation with your department chair in setting those goals, that there probably is not a need to re-self-assess at the beginning of the next school year. So only new teachers who need to become familiar with our rubric will self-assess at the beginning of the school year. The formal observation process is similar to the past. However, there are a few changes we want to make you aware of. There will be a pre-observation conference just as there has been in the past. The observer will collect evidence during the lesson and share that with the teacher just as they have in the past. The teacher will receive a post-observation reflection form, which will look a little bit different. This form will include the 7 reflection questions only. As you may remember, the form used to ask the teacher to rate themselves on components as they related to the lesson. The teacher will no longer complete this rating, they will only answer the reflection questions. The reason for this is to shift the conversation in the post-observation conference to be about the teaching and learning in the lesson and less about the rating at this point in time in the process. There will be a post-observation conference, just as there has been in the past. After the post-observation conference, the evaluator will complete the post-observation form, which will look a little bit different. The post-observation form will include the full rubric with components highlighted as they relate to the lesson. It is possible that there will be language from the components highlighted in multiple levels of performance. For example, there may be elements of one component highlighted at the accomplished level and elements for the same component highlighted at the distinguished level. The reason for this change is to create a form that may more accurately describe what actually occurred in the lesson. This is an example of what the post-observation form will now look like. Obviously, this example just shows one component, component 2C, but you can see there are multiple elements highlighted in this component. The full observation form will have a row for every component as it relates to the lesson. The part of the process that is new is the addition of a formative contact meeting. This meeting will occur the year the teacher is receiving a summative rating only. It will occur after one formal and at least one informal have taken place, and it will occur by the end of first semester of the year of the summative rating. At this time, the teacher will submit a self-assessment by rating themselves on all 4 domains and components. The teacher will use their own knowledge of their practice as a whole and any evidence they have received from informal and formal observations to complete the self-assessment. The teacher and the department chair will meet to discuss multiple forms of evidence and discuss the teacher's performance holistically. After the formative contact meeting, the department chair will assign a formative rating on all domains and components. The reason for the formative contact meeting is to create a moment in time for the department chair and the teacher to have a conversation about the teacher's overall performance prior to the summative rating. With our new changes, the post-observation conference becomes a reflective conversation about the lesson, and the formative contact meeting becomes a formative conversation about the teacher's overall practice. The teacher's self-assessment and formative rating will take into account all aspects of a teacher's performance, including informal observations, formal observations, and artifacts on all domains and components. It is important to note that the timing of the formative contact meetings this year will occur closer to the summative conference due to the fact that formative contact meetings cannot occur until the formal observation and one informal observation have taken place. In future years, these formative contact meetings will feel much more like midpoint check-ins because formative contact meetings can occur after that formal observation. For example, a teacher who is on cycle next school year will have informal observations from this school year, so as soon as that formal observation takes place, their formative contact meeting can occur. If the formal observation takes place in September or October, that formative contact meeting can occur in October or early November, feeling much more like a midpoint check-in moving forward in the years to come. There are no significant changes to the summative process for teachers. Teachers will still self-assess and submit artifacts prior to the summative conference. This information will be used by the department chair to determine the final rating. The one change that will occur is that all administrators who have observed the teacher will meet to discuss the various types of evidence that have been collected and discuss patterns of performance across components and clarify questions about evidence prior to the department chair assigning the summative rating. After this meeting has taken place, the department chair will assign the rating and hold the summative conference with the teacher. After the summative conference, the 2-year cycle starts over again with a goals meeting and the submission of the teacher's new goals. That wraps up all of the changes to the process for teacher evaluation for this school year. As always, please let us know if you have any questions. Have a great day.